Ladies and gentlemen, now I ain't trying to start nothing, but I am going to tell you all the truth today. See, y'all think men are all rough, tough, unshakable creatures, right? But let me let you in on a little secret, especially when that man is a little older and that woman lean in close and she call him by a name that hit him in his soul. Whoo! That man will melt faster than ice in July. Men crave affirmation just as much as love. It's one of those quiet truths that rarely gets spoken out loud, especially when it comes to older men. People assume that because a man is grown, maybe even a little gray around the edges, he's done needing compliments or soft touches of appreciation. But that couldn't be further from the truth. As men get older, the world often stops speaking kindly to them. Expectations grow heavier, the praise gets quieter, and the emotional space to be vulnerable almost disappears. They carry responsibility, pressure, and pride, and in all that weight, something as simple as affirmation can feel like a breath of air when you've been holding it too long. Affirmation isn't about flattery. It's not about stroking egos or inflating a man's sense of self. It's about acknowledging the part of him that still wants to feel seen. That part that wants to know he's doing well, that he's desirable, that who he is matters beyond what he provides. Especially when it comes from a woman who speaks with warmth and confidence, that affirmation carries weight. It doesn't just land in his ears, it goes straight to his spirit. You tell a man he's strong, that he looks good today, that you appreciate what he does, and suddenly he's standing a little taller, talking a little prouder. It shifts something inside of him, something deep. It doesn't have to be dramatic or loud. It's in the small things. The way you look at him when he walks in the room. The soft smile when you notice his effort. The gentle praise for things he didn't even think you saw. That's where the power lies. A man might act like he doesn't need it, might brush it off with a joke or a grunt, but don't let that fool you. Underneath that tough exterior is a heart that still responds to kindness, that still wants to feel admired. Even the strongest man craves to be reminded that he's enough, that he's doing something right, that he still has that spark someone can see. Older men especially may not admit it out loud, but they hunger for it in quiet moments. They've been through things. They've faced failures, disappointments, and hard lessons. And over time, if no one affirms who they are, the world begins to feel colder. That's why when a woman whispers a nickname or offers a sincere compliment, it's not just words, it's healing. It restores something that may have been fading. It tells him he's still valuable, still capable, still attractive. He may never say it, but he'll feel it every time. Affirmation creates connection, it builds trust, it softens a guarded heart, and more than anything, it lets a man know that love isn't just about being there, it's about being seen. The right nickname can reignite a man's confidence. It's not just about the word itself, but the meaning behind it, the way it's delivered, and the person delivering it. A man can go through his whole day being called by his title, his job, or just his first name with no emotion. But when a woman calls him something that touches his pride, his strength, or even his charm, something in him wakes up. It's like flipping a switch. That one word can carry 1,000 messages. Respect, desire, trust, affection, and it hits him in a way nothing else does. Men carry a lot on their shoulders, especially as they age. Life humbles them. The failures, the losses, the quiet sacrifices they've made for family, for work, for survival. They don't always talk about those things, but they wear them A simple big man makes him feel like a protector. A champ reminds him of his youthful victories. A daddy makes him feel desired. These nicknames are more than just playful talk. They're emotional tools that rebuild what life slowly chips away. There's also something sacred about the voice that speaks the nickname. It matters who's saying it. If the woman is confident, mature, and speaks from a place of admiration or intimacy, her words feel different. He believes her. He lets her in. He won't say it, but he holds on to it. That nickname echoes in his head long after the moment passes. It's a reason he goes the extra mile. It's a reason he wants to show up better, love harder, stand taller. That nickname creates a space where he feels valued not just for what he does, but for who he is. Even the tone matters. Whisper it in his ear, say it while brushing past him, drop it in conversation when he's least expecting it. It lingers. It becomes a reminder that he's more than just routine, more than just reliable. That nickname becomes this little secret source of pride. It lights up a memory, a feeling, an energy he may have forgotten, especially when a man feels like the world no longer celebrates him the way it used to. That one nickname revives him. Now, if you're in this circle with me and I'm telling you something that no one else knows, that you want to celebrate him the way it used to, that one nickname revives him. It's not about ego, it's about identity. That nickname says, I see you. It tells him he's more than his paycheck, more than his stress, more than his age. It reaches the part of him that still wants to feel chosen. It gives him permission to believe he's still got it, that he's still admired, still attractive, still the man he always hoped to be. The right nickname doesn't just compliment him, it reminds him of who he truly is when someone believes in him. Tone and timing make a nickname powerful. It's not just the name itself that matters, but how and when it's delivered. A nickname said at the wrong moment or in the wrong tone can fall flat, feel awkward, or even come off as insincere. But when a woman speaks a nickname with the right energy, at the right time, it can stop a man in his tracks. That's the difference between just talking and truly connecting. Timing is everything. Say the right thing in the right moment, and it creates a memory he'll never forget. When a man is stressed, dealing with the weight of the day, or just quietly carrying his responsibilities, that's when a nickname can do the most good. Whispering, my king, while he's looking at bills. Saying champ when he just got back from a hard day. Calling him baby when he's too proud to ask for comfort. Those are the moments where a name becomes a remedy. It eases the tension in his chest, replaces pressure with presence. It tells him he's not alone, not invisible, not forgotten. Tone is just as critical. A nickname yelled across the room doesn't feel the same as one whispered in the kitchen. That soft, warm, intimate tone, that's what turns an ordinary name into something special. It's the difference between teasing and tenderness. Sound, tone carries emotion. It's what makes a man believe you meant it. He hears more than the word. He hears safety, affection, maybe even love. The nickname itself could be simple, but tone and timing elevate it. You say big man while brushing past him with a hand on his chest, that's a moment. You say Mr. Johnson with a smirk as he fixes something around the house, that becomes a playful connection. Say handsome while locking eyes for just a second longer than usual, that sticks with him all day. These small choices create powerful shifts in how he sees himself and how he feels about you. It's also about contrast. A man who is used to criticism, correction, or cold distance will feel that nickname in his bones. When you break the routine with warmth, it disarms him. When you speak gently while the world speaks harshly, he notices. It's not about manipulation. It's about being intentional. It's about knowing that your voice has influence and choosing to use it with care. Men may not talk much about how they feel, but they remember how you made them feel. Tone and timing speak to the emotional intelligence behind the words. They show effort, attention, and emotional precision. A nickname at the right moment becomes more than affection. It becomes emotional leadership. It guides the relationship. It deepens the bond. It proves that connection isn't about grand gestures. It's about those quiet, powerful moments where love is felt, not just said. Nicknames connect to identity, not just affection. When a woman gives a man a nickname, she isn't just being cute. She's naming something in him, something she sees, respects, or desires. That's why it hits differently. It's not just a label. It's a reflection. Men, especially as they get older, begin to crave more than surface level praise. They want to be understood. They want someone to look beyond the job title, the past mistakes, the routine, and say, I see who you are. A nickname can do that without needing a long speech. It can say in one word, I get you. They want someone to look beyond the job title, the past mistakes, the routine, and say, I see, I get you. For a man, identity is built through action, reputation, and how others see him. But over time, those things get weighed down. Maybe he's no longer the rising star at work. Maybe his body doesn't perform like it used to. Maybe life has humbled him. But when a woman steps in and calls him my king or big man or Mr. Strong, it reminds him that who he is still matters, not just what he does. That nickname becomes a mirror, showing him the parts of himself he may have forgotten or ignored. It restores his image by offering a new lens, yours. It's easy to overlook how deeply men absorb these signals. He may not say much when you call him that special name, but inside he's taking notes. He hears admiration, he hears appreciation, and more importantly, he hears belief. You're naming the man he is, or the man he's trying to be. That's why when a nickname is repeated over time, it sticks. It becomes part of the relationship's language. It carries a history. It holds emotion. It becomes an anchor. Some men carry scars, emotional ones, silent ones, and those wounds shape how they see themselves. A nickname spoken with love and consistency can become a healing balm. It's not just about flirting or charm. It's about restoration. You might see a man who thinks he's ordinary and call him my rock, and suddenly he walks differently. That's not because you flattered him. It's because you gave him something to live up to, something to wear with pride. You didn't just touch his ego, you touched his core. In relationships, identity is constantly being reshaped by interaction. Words have power, and nicknames carry that power with grace. They're short, often playful, but the emotional weight they hold is real. You can either reinforce the strength in him or remind him of his flaws. But when you choose to highlight his strength, loyalty, leadership, or tenderness through a name, you're telling him what role he plays in your life. That matters more than most people realize. Nicknames, when chosen carefully, aren't random. They're targeted. They go past the surface and speak to the man underneath, the man who's trying, who's working, who's loving in his own way. And when he hears that nickname come from someone who knows him, who sees him, it doesn't just make him smile, it makes him feel real. Older men respond deeply to respect and admiration. They may not always say it, but they feel it in their core when someone looks at them with genuine appreciation. Life has a way of dulling a man's shine if no one is around to polish it. Responsibilities pile up, opportunities slow down, and the world often begins to overlook him. And the world will look at him. But the one thing that cuts through all of that is when a woman, especially one with presence and grace, sees him not just for what he does, but for who he is. That sense of being honored, admired, and respected, it's rare. And when it's given sincerely, it hits harder than any compliment ever could. Respect is a language men understand before anything else. It's the foundation on which many of them build their identity. While younger men may still be chasing approval, older men are craving validation of the journey they've walked. They want to know that the years they've lived, the sacrifices they've made, and the wisdom they've earned are recognized. When a woman calls him Mr. or softly tells him he's appreciated, it's more than politeness. It's fuel. It strengthens him from the inside out. It doesn't matter if he's in a suit or sweatpants, if he's wealthy or working class. What matters is that someone sees the man, not just the moment. Admiration, on the other hand, is like oxygen to the soul. It's not about putting a man on a pedestal. It's about reminding him that he still matters. When a woman looks at a man with eyes that say, "You're still the one," even with his grays, his scars, and his history, it gives him a sense of purpose that can't be bought. That admiration doesn't just make him feel good, it makes him feel relevant. It tells him that he's still in the game, still has something to offer, still worth investing in emotionally and physically. It's easy to assume that because a man is older, he's self-assured, but that's not always true. Time brings confidence, but it also brings insecurity. What used to be easy becomes effort. What used to be praised is now expected. That's why when a woman acknowledges his presence in a way that's filled with admiration, he notices. When she says his name with softness, when she thanks him without prompting, when she compliments something he didn't think anyone saw, that stays with him. It becomes part of how he sees himself. He may not respond right away, but that moment is stored. And when life gets heavy again, he'll pull it out and remind himself, she sees me. Respect and admiration don't cost a thing, but they give more than most people ever realize. For an older man, they are more than just kind gestures. They are affirmations that his life, his work, and his heart still hold weight. That kind of emotional nourishment isn't loud, but it's lasting. It shapes how a man loves, how he leads, and how he allows himself to be loved in return. A whispered word can heal what silence never could. Men, especially as they grow older, often carry unspoken weight. Pressure from the past, regret from missed chances, quiet burdens they never learned how to share. Moment can do more for a man's spirit than years of struggle ever could. There's something about the intimacy of a whisper that breaks through all the walls he's built. It doesn't demand, it doesn't challenge, it simply enters his space with grace. When a woman leans in and softly calls him something tender, respectful, or playful, that quiet tone carries more than sound. It carries healing. It tells him he's not alone. It tells him he's worthy of attention. It tells him he's safe. That whisper becomes a moment where he doesn't have to perform, fix, or protect. He can just be and still be wanted. Many men aren't used to affection being so personal. They might be familiar with loud praise or tough love, but a whispered nickname or quiet admiration, that's different. That's unexpected. That reaches into the part of him that rarely gets touched, the part that feels but hides. Whispering "my king" or "baby" in a soft, intentional tone doesn't just flatter him. It reminds him that even after all he's been through, someone still chooses to speak to his soul instead of just his status. A whisper also creates a private world. It's something only the two of you share. It makes him feel chosen in a world where he might feel overlooked. Jack is the same way. When he felt inside, he was open and vulnerable. No one takes anything from him. It makes him feel chosen in a world where he might feel overlooked. It's not for everyone else to hear, and that makes it special. When that woman speaks low with purpose, it doesn't just go to his ears, it settles in his chest. That quiet voice, full of care, can shift the way he carries himself. It can make him breathe deeper, hold his head higher, and feel just a little bit lighter. In a world full of noise, shouting, and distractions, a whisper becomes powerful because it demands presence. It's a whisper because it demands presence. You don't whisper to someone unless you're close, physically, emotionally, spiritually. That closeness speaks volumes. It says, "You matter enough for me to draw near." It says, "I trust you with my softness." And that vulnerability, when mirrored, creates healing. He might not show it, but in those moments, his armor drops. And when that happens, connection begins. Real connection, not built on performance or pretending, but built on tenderness, presence, and emotional honesty. A whispered word isn't just softer, it's smarter. It bypasses the noise in his mind, the tension in his body, and speaks directly to the place where wounds live. That's why a woman who understands this doesn't need grand gestures to reach a man. She just needs to lean in, speak low, and let her words do what silence never could. In the quiet moments where words are few but presence is deep, the right nickname can do what years of silence never did. It can remind a man who he truly is. For older men who have given so much and asked for so little, hearing a name wrapped in admiration, whispered with warmth, can awaken a part of them long buried beneath responsibility and routine. These aren't just cute labels, they are affirmations, reminders that he is still strong, still seen, still desired. Whether it's my king, big man, or handsome, what matters most is the tone, the timing, and the woman who speaks it. When a man feels respected, admired, and gently spoken to, it reaches deeper than conversation. It touches his confidence, his identity, his heart. In a world that rarely slows down to acknowledge him, one whispered word can make him feel like the only man in the room.